Hello, everyone. Here we are on Tuesday, October 22nd, and the time is 5:36. We are here for the regular session of the Coppell City Council. There is a quorum present, so I call the meeting to order, and we will be moving into executive session. Thank you. Okay, everyone, I have been under this huge pressure to beat last meetings, and we're not going to beat it. So I'm just telling you up front, time-wise, we are not going to be out of here by 8:05 because we're starting late. Anyway, so we are all here. So we are going into regular session. We are going to start with the invocation, and we have Reverend Tom Palmer here from First United Methodist Church, and then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Let's pray together. Gracious God, thank you so much for this day that you have made, for each person here, for your great love for us all. We pray, O God, that you would grant us wisdom tonight and insight, that you would give us grateful hearts for being a part of this community, for the many blessings that we experience through our law enforcement, our fire department, our city services, all who work behind the scenes so tirelessly that we might enjoy the quality of life that we have. We pray for our country, for the healing of our nation, for compassion and wisdom in our leaders. We pray, O God, that what is done tonight would further your purposes in this part of the world, that we would work toward greater understanding, justice, and peace, and respect for one another. So we offer this time for your purposes this evening, and we pray this with grateful hearts in your name. Amen.
Judge Primrose and your staff, would you join me down here? Okay, item 6. This is weird. Seeing ourselves up there, that's weird. Okay, item 6 is a proclamation. Council, please consider this proclamation. Whereas municipal courts play a significant role in the preserving of public safety and promoting quality of life in Texas. Whereas state law authorizes a municipality to either appoint or elect a municipal judge for a term of office, the Coppell Municipal Court Number 1 is a state court, and its judges are members of the state judiciary. Whereas procedures of the Coppell Municipal Court Number 1 operations are set forth in the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure and other laws in the state of Texas. Whereas the city of Coppell is committed to the notion that our legal system is based on the principle that an independent, fair, and competent judiciary will interpret and apply the laws that govern us, and that judges and court personnel shall comply with the law and act in a manner that promotes public confidence in the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. Whereas Coppell municipal judges are not policymakers for the city of Coppell, but they are bound by the law and the canons of the judicial conduct and are required to make decisions independent of the governing body of the council, city officials, and employees. Whereas the City Council recognizes that the Constitution and laws of the state of Texas contain procedural safeguards in criminal cases for all defendants, including indigent defendants, and supports the Coppell Municipal Court No. 1 in complying with such legal requirements. Therefore, I, Karen Hunt, the mayor of the city of Coppell, do hereby proclaim the week of November 4th through the 8th, 2019 as Municipal Court Week in recognition of the fair and impartial justice offered to our citizens by Municipal Court of Coppell. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Coppell to be affixed this 22nd day of October 2019. Councilmember Mace.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve item number 6, a proclamation naming November 4th through 8th, 2019 as Municipal Court Week and authorizing the mayor to sign.
Second by Councilmember Matthew. All in favor?
Long, Mays, Roden, Matthew Hill. None opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Judge Primrose, I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of wonderful things to celebrate that week. You want to tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening?
Some of it's kind of a little secret, but yes, but I will tell you what we really plan on doing, I think with the court, and we've all talked about this, is one thing that really over the past 9 months, especially in year, is we've had a lot of transition, and all the support we've had from our technology, from the city manager's office, from the police department, from so many places, and so we're really going to focus this year on thanking them in some way. And so it's kind of a little secret. I want to tell you that. So we appreciate the support we've had. We've needed a lot. We have it in every way. I know Tracy will tell you if I need something. She's always there for us, and we're so happy about that. And so could I introduce the people who are here? Okay, so I am the presiding judge, as you guys know. Happy to be here, proud to be here, so excited to be in Coppell. And we have with us Judge Candace Carlson, and she's been with the city now almost 3 years. Yes, she's a county. County judge too. She's been a district attorney. She's been here a long time. We call her Eagle Eye because if there's a mistake to be made by anybody, she's going to find it. And if we're not doing some procedure right, she's going to find it. So we're really happy to have Judge Carlson with us. This is Terry Neal. She is our court administrator. There could not be a better leader right now. Couldn't be. We all agree with that. There could not be a better leader for our court. She is our leader. We follow her. And she knows just what to do. And so we're so happy to have Terry Neal with us. And she has a long history of courts. This is Bruce Kyer. He's our veteran. He's been there a long time. He takes our security so seriously. I say this all the time, and you're going to think I'm exaggerating, and I'm not. But I can't tell you how many times we'll be in a meeting, and we'll be going over security things, or he'll have some project he has to do, and I'll go back to my office and pull up my email, and he's already done it. And you think I'm kidding, I'm not. He does it that fast. So he takes our security very seriously. So we're all here to kind of represent our group. And we're so happy to be a team. We're so happy to be a part of Coppell. And we're going to try to appreciate the community, try to appreciate people who come into the court, and in a special way appreciate some groups that really help us. Oh, and the city secretary too. Can't leave them out. We need a lot of help over there. And we get it. So thank you for everything. Thank all of you.
Thank you very much for everything you do. A lot of times when citizens meet you for the first time, it's not always in a great circumstance. Yeah, not at a party. But typically they leave and they feel like they've been well taken care of. So we appreciate that fact more than anything, and make sure that the whole department knows how much we appreciate what they do, and we are here to support you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We feel that. Thank you all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. the next item on our agenda is citizens' appearance, and no one has signed up to speak. So we will move to the consent agenda. Tonight we have two items, and they are on the screen, items A and B. Items on the consent agenda are usually routine in nature and either have been approved by previous action or through the budget process. Are there any items that anybody wants to pull to consider separately or discuss? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Councilmember Mays.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve consent agenda items A and B.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Hill. All in favor?
Long, Mays, Roden, Matthew Hill. None opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the presentation of the Citizens Satisfaction Survey results by issues and answers. Ms. Leach.
Thank you, Mayor. We are very excited to be here tonight to share some exciting news and some really great news about how our community experiences the service that the City Council and city staff work really hard to provide. The results from this year's survey are pretty consistent with previous years and show continued high levels of satisfaction with the service and leadership demonstrated by the Council, as well as high levels of satisfaction of city staff who really function as the implementation arm from a policy perspective to implement the policy of the Council. We're actually really pleased to see some improved satisfaction ratings for several service areas, notably sidewalk maintenance, trash and recycling, and building inspections. On the staff side, we were really excited about improved ratings on the courtesy and professionalism of staff and the promptness in which our messages were responded to from residents. And then the City Council, you all fared really well in terms of maintaining the city's quality of life. Again, almost 9 in 10 residents really rated that as satisfied or very satisfied. So I'm not going to go through all of this. We've got Kitty Cook here with issues and answers. I did want to just touch on the fact that this year's survey was slightly different than what we have done in the past. And we included a couple features that were new for our community to really help us understand community priorities, to help us understand how we can better communicate and educate the community about a lot of the things that we do, particularly around property taxes. And I'll be the first to say some of the features that we included this year we are going to be taking a hard look at because we did hear some feedback from residents on the length of the survey, on some of the questions that we included, and so we are going to be evaluating those moving forward. We did receive back some really good feedback from those questions, but I'm not sure that the length really was a good trade-off in terms of obtaining that feedback. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Kitty to walk us through the full survey, a summary of the full survey.
Summary of the full survey. As Tracy mentioned, my name is Kitty Cook, and I work for a company called Issues and Answers. We're based in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we were contracted with the City of Coppell to conduct the 2019 Citizen Satisfaction Survey. The primary goals of the survey were to understand the perception of the quality of life in Coppell, quantify satisfaction levels of existing services and programs, gauge citizens' perception and attitudes towards city programs and services, understanding the use of city resources, determining preferences for future information delivery, and assess the City Council's performance. And as Tracy mentioned, it was a slightly different and much longer survey questionnaire than had been administered in the past. For the methodology, we used both telephone and a mail-to-web data collection opportunities for citizens. We had a total of 401 residents who responded to the survey, and the online portion was provided in English, Spanish, and Hindi. For telephone, we included both landline and cell phone frames for data collection purposes. And after a review of the initial data, the city of Coppell had gone back in July and had published a link to the online survey for additional residents to participate. We had a total of 299 residents who participated. The results of that effort are not shown in this presentation, but we did go through an analysis and found that there were very few statistical differences between the original data and the ad hoc data from July. Just quickly going through a summary and highlights, the city of Coppell received positive feedback from its residents. 96% are satisfied with the quality of life in the city. 96% are satisfied overall with city-provided services. 98% feel safe in Coppell overall, with 97% expressing feeling safety in their neighborhoods. In terms of pleasure, 95% are pleased with the overall appearance of the city. 92% are pleased with the beautification and landscaping of the roadways, and 87% express pleasure with the city council maintaining the quality of life in the city of Coppell. All very strong scores. We also talked about the top-rated services and resources, and those include public parks, the fire department, police, trash pickup and recycling, courtesy and professionalism of city employees, recreational facilities, and access to information about city facilities and services. Total of 41% of respondents believe the quality of life in Coppell has improved over the length of their residency. 1 in 7 residents believe the quality of life in Coppell has declined. This is an increase from 9%. The balance of the difference are people who said that the quality of life stayed the same. This is a very positive result, but the city may want to look into potential reasons behind the increase in those saying that the quality of life declined from the previous measure to take a proactive approach. And then, as Tracy mentioned, we did do a couple of additional analytical methods to really look at where the city had the most potential to influence resident satisfaction levels. And the results of that analysis pointed to 2 groups of factors that are potential impacts on overall satisfaction, the quality of life in Coppell. The first group are those where the city had notable success, which we've already talked about a couple, with schools, public safety, recreational facilities, EMS, fire and police services, drinking water and wastewater collection, access to information about city facilities and services, all scored very high in overall resident satisfaction, and the city should continue to make every effort to improve these factors to avoid any negative impact on resident satisfaction levels. 2 areas that had mid-range success in terms of citizen satisfaction were job opportunities and ease of traffic, and the city should make those a priority to focus on this group of factors to boost resident satisfaction levels. One thing that we'll see as we go into the detailed results is that traffic-related issues are a recurring theme to the survey, and the city should engage further research into defining the public's view and definition of traffic, continuing a dialogue with the residents on what areas of traffic issues have the most impact on citizens will help the city better target areas for future planning. Another area for consideration is that the city of Coppell's demographic composition is changing, and consideration should be given to exploring how cultural differences impact research methods and results. We did a subset analysis looking at different race groups, and the results show that Asian American and Caucasian scores align when combined when we look at the total very satisfied plus satisfied scores. However, Asian Americans are more likely to respond as satisfied, while Caucasians respond with very satisfied. Those results in future surveys could pull down those high 96% satisfied with the quality of life ever so slightly if you see a shift based on racial makeup of the results. We also looked at Asian participation was lower in the survey than is expected based on the U.S. Census numbers. and the differences between participation and answer selection could impact future research and results. So continuing the dialogue on how to account and analyze these differences will be critical to future data interpretation. So in terms of key findings, as I mentioned, the majority of residents, 96%, are satisfied with the quality of life in Coppell. And this finding is consistent with the last survey from 2016 and earlier waves. The primary reasons residents state that they're satisfied with the quality of life include having a small town feel in the sense of community, public safety, the low crime rate, and public schools. This was an open-ended question where we asked for the respondents to, or the residents to freely give us what their comments were. We didn't have a pre-selected list. As I mentioned earlier, 4 in 10 residents, 41%, believe that the quality of life in Coppell has improved. This result was 40% in 2016, so it's essentially unchanged. And the belief that the quality of life in the community has worsened or declined is shared by 14%. That's an increase, but you have 45% of the residents saying that has remained the same during the length of their residency. We looked at recent survey results of like cities in Texas, and the city of Coppell scores at the top for quality of life in comparison to the other cities that we looked at the results for. Nearly 6 in 10 residents, or 56%, feel that they're informed with the work of City Council. 44% feel that they're somewhat well informed. 12% feel that they're very well informed. Talking in terms of satisfaction with City Council's work, 9 in 10 residents are satisfied with the City Council maintaining quality of life in the city. The lowest rated one was that we had 4 in 10 residents who are dissatisfied with City Council working to keep taxes reasonable. In terms of overall satisfaction with city services, nearly all of Coppell residents are satisfied with city services. The top 3 city services are the fire department, police, as well as trash pickup and recycling services, which all were scored at 92% satisfaction. The majority of Coppell's residents are satisfied with the city's public parks, and 90% say the same of recreational facilities. Very strong results. And then also looking at comparisons to like cities, the citizens of Coppell rate their overall safety high as compared to over cities. 98% of residents say they feel safe overall in Coppell. And then also in terms of overall appearance of Coppell, the findings also show higher satisfaction levels than those experienced in similar cities. Getting into some of the detailed analytical methods that we use, we did a prioritization exercise. Residents were shown 15 pairs of 6 possible items and asked to identify which is most important in terms of improving the quality of life. And then in this exercise, residents selected the ease of traffic flow on the main roads as most important in terms of improving the quality of life in Coppell, followed by public parks and amenities and stormwater drainage. And then we went through a max diff exercise. This is a new analytical feature in 2019. Respondents were shown 7 tasks or lists of 6 factors each and asked to pick the most and least important factor from each list. The higher the score, the more important the factor is to residents. And this table shows factors indicated by residents as the most important, which would be safety, schools, and emergency services. And this list coincides with the list of citizens' priorities and reinforces the results of what citizens feel are most important in terms of their overall satisfaction. We asked another open-ended question, what is the one thing the city should do to make Coppell a better place to live? And the same topics came up again, reducing traffic issues, economic development, better roads are the top 3 responses. It's interesting to note that it is a positive finding, suggesting there are no major issues that affect the daily lives of residents because we had a wide range of respondents, each at a small overall proportion, the largest being 12% of reducing traffic issues. We also asked a series of questions about satisfaction with contact with the city. Approximately 4 in 10 residents have contacted the city with questions or concerns. It's 153 residents total within the past 12 months. The majority of these citizens are satisfied with the courtesy and professionalism of the person answering the phone. Improvement is needed on aspects such as how well the issue or concern was resolved and follow up by the city to make sure the issue is resolved, where we see about 1 in 4, 1 in 3 who are dissatisfied with those 2 items. In terms of city communications with residents, Coppell residents are generally satisfied with the city's communication efforts. Satisfaction levels are highest for general information, emergency alerts, and information about special events and activities. At 57%, email is the most popular selection among Coppell residents in terms of how they would like to receive information from the city. We did look at that by age and race as well, and it was consistent across race. And with age, the 75-plus-year-olds were least likely to prefer email, but everyone under 75, that was the top choice. Just briefly to talk about who we surveyed. The majority of our respondents were male, and we had a good mix of age groups, with the majority of the sample being 45 plus. In terms of ethnicity, 75% of the sample was Caucasian, 13% Asian American, and 4% African American. Education is very high, with 80% having a 4-year college degree or higher. In terms of tenure, or how many years have you lived in Coppell, the majority of residents have lived in Coppell 10 years or 11 years or more. And then we did break out the results for the full report into 4 distinct groups determined by quadrants based on Sandy Lake Road and Denton Tap Road, and had a good mix of residents across the city. Any questions?
Thank you very, very much. It feels good to see these kinds of results. Councilmember Roden.
Thank you. I guess the question is really for Ms. Leach. I mean, a lot of good information. Appreciate that. And overall, really good news. The couple of things that are a little concerning, like the almost 30% of not satisfied with the response, and the good news as well. How do we make sure that that gets all the way through the organization? Because reality is we talk to a few citizens, but our staff talks to a lot of citizens. Right. And this is such good information, we just need a really good process for disseminating it.
Yeah, so one of the things that our organization's been focusing on a lot in the last several years is organizational change management, and the key piece to that is awareness and how we communicate all the things that are most important to us. And so we have some pretty good infrastructure in place to start pushing all of this information out pretty deep into the organization to the frontline employees, because those are the employees who are making all of that contact that we see reflected in a lot of these survey results. So whether that's to share the good news of thank you for your good work, or we're continuing a dialogue with our community to figure out how we can improve in this service area. We're going to utilize all of those communication channels to make sure that we can push that out. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And then is there also, I know we used the 2040 plan a lot as we're doing long-term planning. Do we look back at this survey to make sure that areas that we need improvement are also part of our annual plan?
Yeah, I found it very interesting that the findings of the survey dovetail very nicely into a lot of the priorities that we heard from the 2040 engagement efforts. We actually pushed the timing of this survey back into the year to start after all of the survey work that we were doing with 2040, because we wanted to confuse everybody about which survey we were taking. But so it is interesting that there's a lot of overlap.
Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question. How do we increase the participation from the residents? You mentioned it's only 300 people.
401 was a total sample.
Out of
Yes.
the 40,000 we
Yes.
have.
So Kitty Kim probably talked about the statistical side of the house on whether, if we surveyed 10,000 people, does that improve our statistical accuracy? So there's a statistical answer to that, and then there's a practical answer on our end. I'll turn it to Kitty to.
The 400 sample size for the original base was based on a random selection sample drawn that would get the results at a 95% confidence level, plus or minus 5%, which is basically the standard that most statisticians go by as the minimum that you would need. Increasing to 500 surveys gets you to 4%. So to do 10,000, you're really not getting that much more. In terms of the methodology, we did a random sample of postcard mailings, so we use an address space sample that would include all available residential addresses within the city of Coppell. We sent out a series of postcards asking people to participate via the web, because some people are just no longer reachable by phone. If we did this 20 years ago, everyone had a landline phone, everyone answered their landline phone. That's not where we are right now with technology. So we gave people different ways of participation. We had 125 people who, out of our 401, who participated using the web technology from the postcard mailing, and the balance were completed over the telephone, where we drew samples that were non-overlapping for cell phone and landline. The cell phone is an enhanced cell product, so it would include people who maintained their area codes or old phone numbers and moved to Coppell would also be included. It's not just this area code and these exchanges in the city. So we tried to make sure that every resident in Coppell had an equal and likely chance of being included in the survey sample.
So that's the statistical piece. Now the practical side for us, and you guys saw that during the 2040 process in terms of the community engagement efforts that we did. And we tried to get as many quality contacts in the community to participate in that process. Moving forward, so one of the things that we've learned through Allies in Community and some of the surveys, one of the surveys that we did through Allies in Community, is that in order to reach some parts of our population, we have to communicate differently. And so we're going to have to incorporate some of those strategies in our next iteration. I think we found a lot of success from the 2040 perspective in going out to where people are. And so I think we're going to have to just think differently about how we collect this data instead of just kind of forcing them to come to us. So yes, I think we would certainly like to see a closer demographic match to the census data. And certainly if we can get some more contacts to complete surveys, that's better. For a lot of the surveys we do, we're looking for quantity because we typically just don't hear from enough residents.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you. I was very pleased and surprised to see the comparison between the other cities in the area. Our numbers were phenomenally high in terms of safety and all the services. Do you have any other cities that you work with that have scored like that? Or we know that we're a shining example, but do you have anything that you can add to that?
Not recently. Most of the recent work that most of the cities that I've been working on have been in the state of Virginia, and their results are not anywhere near as high, and we use the exact same methodology. And no, it was it was very surprising, I guess, to do a survey and find such high satisfaction levels.
I was actually surprised not at our numbers, but some of our sister cities that are in the local area that did not score well. So we're pleased to be where we are.
Yeah, and the methodologies were somewhat different, so I did review those when I was pulling them together for the results. But I only included questions that were asked in the exact same way for comparison purposes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I got a question about Sugarland being in there. Sugarland is in all the other cities are in the immediate area. Sugarland's in Houston, just south of Houston. So I'm curious as to, and they scored very well, but they're sort of an outlier as far as our area is concerned.
Right, and I was looking for cities that were large suburbs of Dallas and Houston, and that were conducted recently. So there were other Houston cities or suburbs, but they had not been conducted recently or didn't have the same wording on the questions. So I only included the ones that had the exact same questions asked. But I did look for comparable results. And I also looked around San Antonio and Austin as well. But those were the ones that had the comparable questions.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with the city staff and Tracy.
We really appreciate all that you've done and look forward to really digging into this information.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, city manager's report, projected updates or project updates and future agendas.
Just real quick, some construction updates on Freeport and Parkway. So for Freeport, we are in the process of starting to pave in the next couple weeks, and they will be doing that activity at night. We will be making notifications in advance of that activity happening. Parkway, also, we will begin to see paving here in the next couple weeks. All of that, both of those roadways, all of that activity is weather dependent, obviously. So they're trying to dry out here today, but we're optimistic we will be able to get to that. We do have the National Drug Take Back Day, which is scheduled for October 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Justice Center. So if you have any prescription drugs that you need to get rid of, and that's a great opportunity for the community, and we encourage you to show up that day. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor and council reports. This weekend is a pretty darn busy weekend. You just mentioned the National Drug Take Back Day, which is on Saturday from 10 to 2. And that's at the Coppell Justice Center. Scare on the Square is from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Old Town Coppell. Wear your costumes and trick or treat in Old Town. Treats on the Trail, so you can just kind of go all over the city. Treats on the Trail at the Biodiversity Education Center is from 2 to 4. And then Trunk or Treat, which is at the core, is from 7 to 9. So if you are going to celebrate your Halloween, you can do it at 3 different locations here in Coppell. And then the Halloween Family Fun Night at the library is the 29th at 7 p.m. The only other thing that I want to make sure that everybody is aware is if you have been here in Town Center, we are a voting location, and the early voting started today and goes through November 1st. And most of the time we are open on weekdays and Saturdays from 8 to 5, and Sunday from 1 to 6. And then on Thursday and Friday, which are the last 2 days of early voting, we are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that is for anyone who is in Dallas County can vote here. And then on the actual day of the election, again, the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There are 10 amendments to the state constitution that are on the ballot and one proposition for the city of Coppell. So we are encouraging everyone to come and vote. I voted today, so I'm hoping that all of my fellow council has also, or at least have it on their calendar to come vote. Not necessarily here, because you can do it right where you work. Any other items that the council, any activities that the council wants to discuss or announce? Okay. Now we have the council committee reports. We have the report of CFB ISD and Louisville ISD. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's start off with CFB ISD. They are launching an exclusive science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics gifted academy at Landry Elementary School. A parental informational meeting is scheduled for October 29th at 6:30. It's going to be held at the ESD building, Texas Room, 1820 Pearl Street in Carrollton. They are also having the Giving House, and it's a new district-wide initiative that is focused on educating the whole child by providing students in need with basic clothing and hygiene items. Students may contact the campus counselor with requests, and items will be delivered the next day from the central warehouse. Anyone interested in supporting Giving House may contact CFB ISD Communications Department. Next up, Louisville ISD. On Friday, October 18th, Louisville ISD held the official ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Academy at Polsner Elementary. This is one of 3 nationally certified STEM academies in the district. Louisville ISD opened its newest elementary school on October 15th. Mill Street Elementary will be the new home for more than 550 students. And Louisville ISD Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Kevin Rogers, has been named a recipient of the University Council for Education Administration 2019 Excellence in Education Leadership Award. The award is an annual recognition for school administrators who have made significant contributions to the improvement of administrator preparations. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Then we have Coppell ISD. Councilmember Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. Coppell ISD updates. On October 23rd, 6:30 p.m., Coppell Independent School District will be homecoming parade. Starts from West Parkway Boulevard, west of Denton Tap. On October 25th is the Coppell Independent School District homecoming. On November 11th at 6:30, we'll have a joint board meeting with the City of Coppell Council and the school board trustees. On a an update is 35 Coppell High School seniors have been selected as 2020 National Merit Scholarship semifinalists by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then last but never least, the Coppell Seniors by Councilmember Roden.
Thank you, Mayor. As always, it's a pleasure to report on activities at the Senior Center. First off, you may be a senior and not know it. Per Coppell rules, 50 years and up is considered a senior. So if you're sitting there thinking, I can't participate, you might be wrong. So the other thing is, if you walk through the Senior Center almost any time of day, it just brings joy to your heart. There's so many cool things going on, so many excited folks to be out there, and there's really no reason to not participate. We charge the grand total of $10 a year to belong to the Senior Center. You can do it for $1 a day But even as an Aggie, I can figure out $10 a year is a little better than $1 a day. So I would suggest you do the year-long membership. In addition to all the great things that are going on at the Senior Center, from composting to quilting to knitting to card games to exercise classes, there's a few special events coming in the next month or so. Starting tomorrow with a session on where to start to love your heart, followed by the next day golf classes at Top Golf. And then we move into IRA and 401k planning, Veterans Day lunch, the third annual Vintage Granny Square Crochet Tree, a trip to Heritage Farmstead Museum, a class on taxes in retirement, the Thanksgiving lunch, and then building Advent calendars. So you can see there's a lot going on, and if you're 50 plus, join up. Thanks.
There'll probably be a run on the Senior Center tomorrow.
Well, I'll be there and help them.
Okay, good. Okay, item 13 is public service announcements concerning items of community interest. The only other thing that I can think of is the Coppell Chamber had a luncheon this Friday, and due to unforeseen circumstances, the speaker is unable to attend, so they are rescheduling that. So that day is canceled, and it will be rescheduled, I believe, in the spring. So if you're planning to join the chamber for their luncheon at the Cosby Library this week, call a friend. Have lunch. Okay, and Councilmember Mays.
Thank you, Mayor. Real quickly, this is kind of community interest. We were attending the Texas Municipal League conference in San Antonio, and I had my City of Coppell shirt on, and members of the City of Deer Park stopped me and were raving over the core facility. They are thinking about building a municipal facility as well, and they toured South Lake, Grapevine, Colleyville, and Coppell, and they said ours stood out well above all the rest, and they're going to model theirs after ours. So I thought that was it was very unsolicited, and thanks to the Parks and Rec Department and all the people that work at the Corps.
Well, that's high praise. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we are going to recess and go back for work session, and then we will be back to finalize this meeting. And the time is, and you're more than welcome to join us in the back. The time is 8:26. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Missing Cliff. Okay, so we are reconvening into regular session. The time is 8:44, and item 14 is necessary action from executive session, and we have Councilmember Mays has a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'd like to move to authorize the city manager and city attorney to file a claim in the amount of approximately $21,500 plus or minus in the National Prescription Opiate litigation, MDL number 2804 of the Northern District of Ohio, class action.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Hill? Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Thank you. Just a very brief summary of why we're doing this. Mr. Hager.
Yes, very briefly. This stems from the filing in the national pharmacy litigation involving opioids, and the identified every city in the United States and all those in Texas, and this is to compensate the citizens for the cost, estimated cost of the opioid addiction in our country. So this is a formula that was put forth and approved by the judge in the Northern District of Ohio, and we would ask for permission to go ahead and file the city's claim for those funds.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Are there any comments? All in favor?
Long Mays Road and Matthew Hill. None opposed. Motion carries.
There being no other business before this group, we are adjourned at 8:46.